But when he comes before that camera and he tells the American people that the number one problem we have, he's the only one, Republican or Democrat, that had the courage to tell the truth. The number one problem our nation faces is influenced by special interest, money. Now, for those of you that might have the a notion that the number one threat we face are people who want to grab your guns, no, it's not. The number one threat that we have to face is companies that want to continue exploring and exploiting fossil fuels. No, it's not. You need to understand everything is controlled by finance. That's it. That's the top of the pyramid. That is the capstone. That is where we need to look if we want to change anything in this country. There's not a drop of blood that is being shed around this planet that isn't being shed by direct relation to the financial masters that are running our government. Arab Spring wouldn't have existed without the 2008 collapse, wouldn't have existed without forced poverty onto the people of the Middle East. That is a creation of finance. The global credit crisis, creation of finance. The problems that we're seeing right now going on in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, pick your poison, a production put on for us by finance. And their ultimate goal has been stated time and time again. It is global financial governance, because what a lot of us fail to realize is that is the ultimate power. That is the ultimate driving force behind big pharma, behind the military-industrial complex, behind big oil, behind corporate special interests. It's always the money men. The money men who have dominated our government and our form of government and polluted our republic. Bernie Sanders comes out and tells it like it is. What does that mean? Well, we saw another individual do this when the red team was up to bat under George W. Bush, when we had Ron Paul come out and tell it like it is. Is their ideologies different? Absolutely. It's 180 degrees different. But the truth is always the truth, right? It doesn't matter if it's a card-carrying communist who wants to turn this into the people's utopia, or if it's Ron Paul that doesn't want any government at all and states should run their own affairs, and more importantly, individuals should run their own affairs. It doesn't matter. If the truth comes out of either one of their mouths, it's still the truth. So, Bernie Sanders, home run tonight. As far as a potential candidate of the joke that this whole election process has turned into, by far and away the only one that understands what's going on with this country, the toilet bowl that it's going down, and what we need to do in order to change this. And he had the courage tonight to say it. We need a revolution. Now, he called it a political revolution, but make no mistake about it. If the vast majority of the people of this country woke up to what's happening in D.C., what's happening with the financial masters and our so-called elected representatives who are representing us, if the people understood and knew what was going on in our names, behind our backs, to our future, to our children, there absolutely would be political revolution, and probably a whole lot more. Absolutely. Say what you want, be on whatever side of the fence you want to be on, but understand something. Your ideology doesn't affect the truth. Your ideology doesn't allow you to bend the truth into something that it's not. We have two very slick parties in this country that want you to believe exactly that. That if you're standing on the blue side of the fence, you're right. And your right is the only God's gospel truth. And there's a slick party in this country that's on the red team that wants you to believe the exact opposite. Absolutely. The truth is the truth. You want to be worried about somebody grabbing your guns? Let the country keep going the way it is right now. Look, the only reason we're not Australia, the only reason that we're not England right now, or Canada, where it's virtually impossible to have more than 5 rounds in any firearm, and in some of these countries I mentioned, it's impossible to even own a firearm. It isn't because of the NRA, right? That's what the left, that's what the blue team wants us to believe. The NRA is the only reason why we have semi-automatic guns in this country. No, it's not. The NRA has a lobby, just like any other lobby in Washington, D.C. Trust me, the gun industry isn't a big, throbbing industry that has all this money in order to facilitate the rise of political geniuses in Washington, D.C. Let's face it, pharmaceuticals, the oil companies, big finance, There's a ton more money being thrown at Washington, D.C. than the NRA can throw at Washington, D.C.
That's
the reason
shit.
we have guns in this country, we have the most friendly environment for gun owners on this planet, is because of this. It isn't because of the NRA. And if Bernie Sanders or anybody else that's claiming to be a gun grabber wants to go for him, we should encourage that. It is a confrontation, a legitimate confrontation of our Constitution. It's not usurping it slowly over generations like we've seen with Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, where we, the people, the Congress, can set money, coin money, and determine the value thereof. That little piece of the Constitution was taken away over hundreds of years. And look what has happened. Look at the result of it now. Yeah. A world in calamity because we decided we were going to let go a little bit of the Constitution. This amendment, the Second Amendment, it's cut and dry. There's no slowly usurping it. You are going to build animosity between the red and the blue. You're going to build animosity between the neighbor, your neighbor in this country, until it comes to a head. So I would much rather hear the truth from somebody who I know doesn't like the fact that I have an AK-47 or an AR-15. But at least he's speaking the truth, and at least he's not going to hide behind some jargon that he says just because the camera's on. I'd rather face that battle when it comes face to face, not behind my back, not with 535 members of Congress, behind closed doors, in the heels of a crisis in order to usurp my liberty. I'll take that fight head on. Believe what you want about our political system. It is absolutely and totally controlled by special money interests, financial special interests. The only mediocre bright spot we see in any of this is Bernie Sanders' command of the truth. Believe it or not, it is what it is. Open your eyes. It's time.
So pretty much, it is financial terror is what's going on, and financial lobbying groups, which is a lobbying terrorist groups, basically, which is based back to financial terror again. It's all based on financial terror. And Nikita, in 1959, proclaimed it the best, and it's working well and in well of force through our educational system. Our education is proliferated with the Communist Manifesto ideology. It is a pure fact. It's obvious as the sun is rising in the morning.